Here are the facts behind the ongoing investigation into former President Trump. My name is Nate the Lawyer. If you are new here, we talk about the law and the facts. If you're about that life, don't forget to like this video, share this video, and subscribe to the channel. Now, the last time we looked over this topic, we went over the search warrant and an inventory list for what was seized in the FBI raid. Now, according to the paperwork, 28 items were seized in total. Here's a summary of what they removed.
A newly unsealed warrant reveals FBI agents removed 20-plus boxes and binders, including 11 sets of highly classified documents, some marked top secret, and some only meant to be viewed in secure government areas.
Now, let's understand the facts. We don't know what specific contents were removed. We do know that some of the materials were marked as classified, and headlines are reporting things like nuclear files were among the documents taken, but this is honestly unconfirmed by the court documents. We also know a little bit more about the timeline which led to the raid. So now, after President Trump lost the election, his team removed boxes from the White House to his private home in Mar-a-Lago, Florida. Now, in these boxes were records that belonged to the federal government. And when Trump's time in office had expired, he was supposed to return all those government records back to the government. Now, this makes sense. Think about it this way. If President Trump went to the IRS and took a thumb drive with everyone's tax returns on it, everyone's financial information, social security numbers, the whole thing, he just took a thumb drive and said, "Give them to me," and then went to the White House. Well, while he's president, that would be okay, right? Everyone in the IRS, the head of the IRS, they all work for President Trump. Simple enough. But when he leaves office or is fired or whatever happens, and he's no longer president, no longer has that authority, he can't just take your tax returns with him, right? He can't just keep them with him for the next 2 years. He has to give those back because they belong to the federal government. And this would be the same for any government documents, Social Security documents, Medicare, Medicaid documents. Anything that the government holds as government documents would fall under this government records piece. Now, change tax return to classified or even declassified government document, and the same process is still true. If the document is declassified, or even if it's a tax return, it still belongs to the government. The unsealed warrant also provides the laws that the government is alleging may have been violated. The government first is alleging a violation of the Espionage Act, which is 18 U.S.C. section 793, which makes illegal the unauthorized retention, transmission, or mishandling of national security information. Now, this is very important to note. It doesn't matter if the information is classified or not. All it takes is a mishandling of any government document having to do with the national security, specifically the national defense, with the penalty in prison if violated. Next is 18 U.S.C. section 2071, where it states, whoever willfully and unlawfully conceals, removes, mutilates, obliterates, or destroys or attempts to do so, or with intent to do so, takes and carries away any record, proceeding, map, book, paper, document, or other thing filed or deposited with any clerk or officer of any court of the United States or in any public office or with any judicial or public officer of the United States shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years or both. So where the last section was limited to information regarding the national defense, this section is any government document that is mishandled or taken by someone who is not authorized to take it. And again, it doesn't matter if the documents are classified or not, as long as they're government documents. And obviously, since we're talking about documents that don't really deal with the national defense, here it's only 3 years in prison, where if the document has to deal with national defense, it's 10 years in prison. And last but not least, we're looking at 18 U.S.C. section 1519, which makes it illegal to obstruct any investigation by concealment, altering, or destroying government records. Now, 18 U.S.C. section 1519 is actually punishable by up to 20 years in prison. And again, it doesn't matter if the documents are classified or not, as long as they are government documents. So now you know that none of the charges listed on the warrant rely on any information being classified or not. So whether the documents were declassified is essentially irrelevant to the legal questions presented in a warrant. So your next question is, why a search warrant? Well, From the reports, Trump's team actually attempted to turn over all the government documents twice. First in 2021. Trump sent 15 boxes of records to the National Archives from Mar-a-Lago after a letter from the National Archives requesting the documents. Some of the documents that the Trump team sent to the National Archives were classified. Now, after that first attempt, the Justice Department then received a subpoena and went back to Trump and asked him to return any more government documents or classified information that he continued to have. And to their credit, Trump's team cooperated again with the subpoena. And to prove that they turned everything over, Trump's lawyer certified that the Trump team turned over all classified information.
The New York Times first reported today that in June, at least one of the former president's lawyers signed a letter asserting to the Justice Department that all material marked as classified had been returned to the government. But Monday's FBI search of the estate found 11 sets of classified documents, as well as other presidential records. The removal of that classified information after the letter was sent could explain why prosecutors cited an obstruction law in their search warrant request.
Now, after Trump's lawyer claimed that they turned over everything, the media is reporting that a confidential informant contacted the FBI, claiming that there were more government records being hidden and where they were. Here's Newsweek. Exclusive. An informer told the FBI what docs Trump was hiding and where. So from the information that we have, it seems like based off this tip, the FBI was able to obtain a search warrant to recover any government records not turned over in the previous 2 attempts by the government. But all this is speculation because we have not seen the affidavit used to authorize the warrant. On the affidavit, it would let us know if there was an informant and confirm the stories in the media. Now, the Justice Department is currently fighting the release of the search warrant affidavit, claiming that they have an ongoing investigation and releasing such information may harm that ongoing investigation. And if you think about it, that makes sense because you wouldn't want the other side to know if you had someone on the inside. Just like with a mob investigation or even into drug cartels. If you have an informant on the inside, you don't want to let the people know that you have an informant on the inside. Number one, that's dangerous for the informant. Number two, that sends them on a mole hunt. Now, I also think it's important to mention that Trump's team has claimed that all the documents that were at Mar-a-Lago were declassified. But now we know it doesn't matter. It is about keeping any government documents unauthorized. So whether they're classified, declassified, or tax returns, if you're unauthorized and you have those government documents, you can be found in violation of the law. So now, question of the day. Do you think this informant is real? What are your thoughts on the search warrant? Comments below. Let me know how you feel. And we'll continue to update you on this story as things develop. My name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'll see you next time. Peace.